Let not your heart be troubled. Ye believe in God, believe also me. In my Father's house and in mansions. If it were not so, I would have told you. I go to prepare a place for you. And if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come again and receive you unto myself. That where I am, there ye may be also. And whither I go, ye know, and the way ye know.
It's about time, man, because I'm ready to go home. I'm ready to get the kingdom. I'm ready to live. I'm ready to breathe fresh. I'm ready to have beautiful, pure women, okay? Not no strawberry hollis on this side. I'm ready to have children, man. You can vibe with it, okay? Be around brothers. Be around the Lord himself, okay? I'm ready to go and visit places in the galaxy that we didn't know exist, all right? I'm ready to walk on sandy beaches, man, and explore the ocean floors. I'm ready to fly, okay? I'm ready to eat real food. Okay, I'm ready to drive a chariot, man. All right, I'm ready to minister to the Lord and to be ministered to, man. Okay, I'm ready to worship Yahushua in its full entirety. Okay, I'm ready for it. We're ready, man. I'm ready to see angels and greet angels.
But as it is written, eye hath not seen, nor ear heard, neither have entered into the heart of man the things which God hath prepared for them that love him. But God hath revealed them unto us by his Spirit. But as it is written, eye hath not seen, nor ear heard, neither have entered into the heart of man the things which God hath prepared for them that love him. But God hath revealed them unto us by his Spirit.
Repeat. Mazda is sadly have sauce on this.
The Spirit itself beareth witness with our spirit that we are the children of God. And if children, then heirs, heirs of God, and joint heirs with God. If so be that we suffer with him, that we may be also glorified together. For I reckon that the sufferings of this present time are not worthy to be compared with the glory which shall be revealed in us. For the earnest expectation of the creature waited for the manifestation of the sons of God. For the creature was made subject to vanity, not willingly, but by reason of him who hath subjected the same, in hope, because the creature itself also shall be delivered from the bondage of corruption into the glorious liberty of the children of God. For we know that the whole creation groaneth and travaileth in pain together until now. And not only they, but ourselves also, which have the first fruits of the Spirit, even we ourselves groan within ourselves, waiting for the adoption to it, the redemption of our body. I will declare the decree. The Lord hath said unto me, Thou art my son. This day have I begotten thee. Ask of me, and I shall give thee the heathen for thine inheritance, and the uttermost parts of the earth for thy possession. Thou shalt break them with a rod of iron. Thou shalt dash them in pieces, like a potter's vessel. Be wise now, therefore, O ye kings. Be instructed, ye judges of the earth.
Repeat. Mazda is sadly have sauce on this.
All right. Shalom. First and foremost, I would like to give all praise and glory unto Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shah Bahashem, Rakakwadash, and double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples to his younger brothers. And peace and blessings and salutation to the hopeful that got there pushing his word in truth and in sincerity across the four winds in the name of Yahweh Bahashem. Yahweh Shah Bahashem Rakakwadash, pushing to get up out of here. Shalom to the hopeful elect, the believers, the listeners who have came back to the obedience of the scriptures through faith in Yahweh Bashem Al Shai. All right, and what I want to get into, what we're going to get into this morning, all right, news and prophecy is dealing with Babylon, being dismantled, okay, and hell being prepared for America, all right, and what we're seeing, is through prophecy, the Lord is beginning to dismantle, all right, the American empire, okay, and not only, from the aspect of the society which that's coming, but from the top. Okay, that's why the scripture is known as what it calls Babylon, the excellency of the Chaldeans, which are the elites. Okay, and this American system, has dominated the earth, for these last 80 years, economically, militarily, culturally, and this is how the elites have, forwarded, anti-Messiah culture throughout the world. This is how they enslave the governments through the American banking system. Okay, which the American banking system is the elite banking system. Because the Federal Reserve is not property of the U.S. government. It's property of, all right, the banking cartel, the Rothschilds. Okay, and then you have American military, which American military is another property, nothing but a mercenary for the elite bankers. Okay, that's why every war that America, all right, and every conflict that America has, well, is rooted in the interests of the bankers. Okay, so the throne of the elites, beginning with the Rothschild banking family, has been America, man. You know, and what we're seeing now is the small hats, which we know these bankers are small hats. Okay, these small hats have combined, okay, America and the Israelis as one force, and that's beautiful because those are the two nations that's according to prophecy going to be affected the most by this third world war. Okay, America becoming the desert, all right, and the small hats being obliterated out of their land through war. Okay, by Ezekiel 38, the end game for Ezekiel 38 is destroying the land of Israel, which the difference between Israel and America is that it will be rebuilt. Okay, that's the difference. Now, when you go, let's go here to the book of Jeremiah. And got a few videos to get into, but let's go here to the book of Jeremiah, chapter 49, and we start at 13. Okay, because the Lord, when you go to Jeremiah 49 and 13, the Lord makes a promise to himself, okay, that he's going to destroy America. So we know how this ends, as we go, through all the analysis of what's going on. Well, we know one thing, how it ends. Okay, we're just following, the process of getting to this end. This is the desire of the Lord. This is one of his desires, is to destroy America. Okay, when you go to Jeremiah 49:13, for I have sworn by myself, said the Lord Yahweh Bashem Al Shai, that Basel shall become a reproach, all right, become a desolation, a reproach, a waste, and a curse, and all the cities thereof shall be perpetual waste. And what's going to do that? Thermonuclear destruction. Okay, from all these nations that have nuclear capability. Okay, it's going to turn America into a perpetual waste, a desert. You see, verse 4 says, I have heard a rumor from the Lord, an ambassador sent unto the heathen, saying, Gather ye together and come against her and rise up to the battle. And this is what we're seeing, nations rising up to the battle. Okay. You got other nations, now are now actively, fighting, man. Dealing with Yemen. Okay, what they call the Houthi rebels, which ultimately, Houthi is just a name of uh, a family, a dominant, a preeminent family in Yemen. They started the resistance, to the West, in Yemen, and they have an actual government. Okay, majority of the people in Yemen, support, the the Houthi faction over, the pro West, Yemenis government, man. Okay, so you have Yemen that has gotten involved, and also you have, exchange between Ukraine and Iran, where you had Ukraine to strike a Iranian vessel shipping, cargo to Russia in the Caspian Sea. Okay, which we'll get into that. But what we're seeing is these nations are being pulled in, and all these wars are becoming one big war. Okay, and more nations are going to constantly be pulled in, and this is how world war nation getting more and more involved. Okay, and ultimately we're going to see a an alliance of nations that's going to come against America. Okay, and these small hats, man. So it's beautiful that the Lord got America and these small hats, becoming one, because their judgment is going to be right there together. All right, verse 15 said, For lo, I will make thee small among the heathen and despised among men. Okay, and what we're seeing, the Lord is making America small on the world stage. You see, because things that these nations are doing now, like Yemen, striking, Saudi Arabia, which is an American ally. Okay, striking oil storage units in Saudi Arabia. Okay, which I'll say their oil, is an American asset. You see, all the oil that comes out the Gulf, America makes money off their oil. America, has control over these nations' energy based off their oil that comes out the Strait of Hormuz. Okay, but it's been heavily disrupted. See, for a while that would have been unheard of, man. To strike a country that housed American troops. Okay, to strike American military assets. Okay, that was unheard of, man. But now there's a different spirit in the earth. The Lord has awakened a mighty man amongst these heathen, man. Okay, to get busy with Babylon, and Babylon is becoming insignificant, man. Economically and militarily, man. Okay, because of course there's no, currency that will be able to replace the dollar, but the fact that certain nations are able to, exist outside of the dollar and still do trade and still wage war, well, that makes America what, more insignificant. Okay, because the Lord got America set up for failure, man. You see, the whole system from the elites on down to, all right, the coming America is finna catch you, man. Okay, verse 16 said, Thy terribleness have deceived thee, and the pride of thine heart. O thou that dwellest in the cliffs of the rock, that holdest the height of the hill, that thou shouldest make thy nest as high as the eagle. I will bring thee down from thence, said the Lord. Let's read this in the NLT, because this is what we're seeing from America, is it riding, it has been riding a wave of its reputation. You see, America is not used to a dogfight type of war. America lately has been used to, a quick topple, of governments, a change of regime, and being able to go put the boots on the ground. See, let's read this first and then we'll expound on it. It said, You have been deceived. This Jeremiah 49:16 in the NLT says, You have been deceived by the fear you inspire in others and by your own pride. Okay, because for the longest, like America has such a strong air force and such strong offense that they will be able to just park an aircraft carrier, okay, on the coast, and the aircraft carrier will be, You know, no, cause like Iraq, Afghanistan, you see Syria, they didn't have the ability to hit an aircraft carrier. You know, so the aircraft carrier could park close to the coast, and those ships would just come off, do air raids all day, all night. Okay, and they will paralyze a nation defenses and just overwhelm them with air superiority. Okay, and then what they would do, they would send troops in to clean up. And see, by the time troops were sent to Iraq, the Air Force had already disabled, all right, Iraqi military. Okay, and you still had skirmishes on the ground, but for the most part, it wasn't much left but the skeleton. Okay, same thing in Afghanistan. You see, now same thing in Libya. The Air Force come in and just wreak havoc, and then they send the ground troops to really clean up. We see with Iran, they haven't been able to get past phase one, which is to establish air superiority. They haven't been able to do that. That's why still this. They'll go to war, they'll fall back, because they can't get past phase one. See, America's used to having air superiority and just wreaking havoc on the country, and then sending his ground troops into a skeleton of a government and clean up and occupy, man. Okay, but they haven't been able to get past phase one with Iran. That's why you see, this this back and forth. Okay, between America and Iran, and each back and forth, it gets worse and worse for America, man. Okay, and that's the Lord setting America up for a fall, because it's just the beginning. There's a lot. There's still a lot left. There's a lot of escalation left on the ladder. You know, but like we said, they're only going up the ladder. Even if they pause, okay, when they start back, they start right where they left off from with the escalation, man. Okay, it says you live in a rock fortress and control the mountain heights. But even if you make your nest among the peaks with the eagles, I will bring you crashing down, says the Lord Yahweh Bashem Al Shai. Okay, so the devil, has built his military even up to the heavens, man. Okay, he has weaponry in the heavens. This devil has, his missiles are guided, by these satellites in the heavens. Okay, so this devil has built, his authority to the heavens, man. But what we're seeing is the Lord is getting ready to throw down. Okay, the Lord is getting ready to bring this devil crashing down. So no matter how much he's built up militarily, okay, the devil is going to be brought down through the power of the Lord. Okay, so let's keep reading. Let's go back. So when you keep reading verse 17, it says also Edom. You see that? Also Edom. So wait a minute, it goes from speaking about, okay, when you go here, the destruction of Basra, which Basra looked to who? All right, linked to who? Esau, Edom. Now Basra was a chief city, okay, in the land of Edom. That's where the kings of Edom, okay, would reside, was in Basra. You go into the history in the land of Edom, which was south of Judah. Okay, but then what's the chief place of America? Of Esau today? America, man. You see, in the scripture called Esau out. That's why Esau doesn't want to be linked to Edom. Okay, they want to be us. They want to be Europeans, Anglo-Saxons. No, you're Edomites. Okay, and you're mentioned directly in the scriptures, man. So we see these people that rule the earth are Edomites, and that's what gives us comfort, because we know how it ends for Esau. Verse 17 says, also Edom shall be a desolation. Everyone that goeth by shall be astonished and shall hiss at the plagues thereof, as in the overthrow of Sodom and Gomorrah, as the neighbor cities thereof, saith the Lord Yahweh by Shemal Shai. No man shall abide there, neither shall a son of man dwell in it. Okay, it's going to be completely desolate. America is going to get the judgment of Sodom and Gomorrah, all right, on another scale. Okay, which is going to be through fire. You see? So everything that we're seeing America, trying to pull off, we know the end result is going to be the same judgment of Sodom and Gomorrah, the same outcome. It's going to be left as a memorial of wickedness, just like Sodom and Gomorrah today. It's still nothing but clod and pitch and heaps of ashes, man. Okay, you still can find the sulfur content, in that region. The most pure sulfur comfort, the most pure sulfur, all right, content that's in the earth is over there in Sodom and Gomorrah. Almost double, it's double and triple what the normal sulfur content, that they find, in nature is like double and triple that what they find in over there where the region where Sodom and Gomorrah was at, man. Okay, and America's heading down that same path. Verse 20 said, therefore hear the counsel of the Lord that he hath taken against Edom, and his purpose that he had purpose against the inhabitants of Teman, all right, which represents Esau's wisdom, showing you that he's not going to be able to scheme and plot his way out of this one, man. He's going to have to deal with judgment this time. Okay, it says, surely the least of the flock shall draw them out, the small hats. Okay, even what we're seeing with Ukraine striking the Iranian ship, man, the small hats behind that, because those Ukraine is small hats, man. That's another satellite state for Amalek, man. When you go into the leadership of Ukraine, and the elites that's amongst Ukraine, those are small hats, man. That's why they get so much aid. That's why they're propped up by what? This American system. America propped up Ukraine. America props up the state of Israel. Okay, militarily, man, and economically, because they're small hats. It's the interests of the small hats that America serves, man. You see, it says, surely he shall make their habitation desolate. Okay, with them. So the small hats have drug America into this war that's going to end the American empire. Okay, and it's going to end the Edomite empire. America just the emphasis of the end of the Edomite empire, man. Okay, it says the earth is moved at the noise of their fall, the nukes, and the cry. It says at the cry of the noise thereof was heard in the Red Sea. Okay, because it's leading, everything is going to eventually go nuclear, man. You see, right now it's a conventional buildup, okay, to a nuclear war. You see, so let's go here, all right, because when you look at what's going on over there, I say American military is being dismantled, man. Okay, and it's getting worse and worse. You see, and they trying to figure out like, where is this accuracy coming from? Because this round of fighting is like Iran just jumps. It's like Iran just level up every time they engage and back and forth. Okay, and the small hats, America has stopped doing strikes 3 days ago. Okay, so they had to take another time out. They didn't announce it. They didn't do a ceasefire. They just stopped firing. Iran struck, and they never struck back. You see, so they pretty much took a time out. They had to take a step back because they're losing major assets. They're losing military personnel, and they're trying to figure out the accuracy of these missiles. Like, God damn, these niggas are accurate, man. But we know, according to prophecy, man. You see, so brother want to get that in the Jeremiah 50:9, the mighty expert, man. Okay, brother can post that while I let this play.
Two weeks of relentless bombardment have turned the West Asia into a furnace. Iran is using missiles built especially to slip through America's shield. And behind the smoke, a bigger question is being raised. Who helped Iran find that weak spot? Take a look.
For almost 2 weeks, U.S. bombers have hit Iran night after night. coastal radar, air defense sites, missile depots hit again and again. Iran took the blows, and Iran hit back hard and increasingly accurately. Captured on video last week, the strike was one of several targeting Jordan's Muwafaq Salhi airbase, demonstrating the persistent threat posed by Iran's ballistic missiles. One attack killed 3 U.S. soldiers, despite Donald Trump's claim that Iran's military has been totally destroyed, and Secretary of War Pete Hegseth's assertion that its missile program is functionally destroyed. Tehran retains enough missiles to threaten U.S. forces and their Gulf allies after 5 months of intermittent U.S. and Israeli strikes.
They have no military. They have no navy. They had 159 ships. Everyone's at the bottom of the sea. They had 212 airplanes. Everyone is gone. They have no radar. They have no anti-aircraft. They have no nothing. Other than they're mean and they're smart and they still have some capability.
So why are there missiles left to hit Jordan and result in the loss of life of our brave men and women?
As we stated from the beginning, the Iranian defense industrial base is effectively gone, but they do have underground facilities because they're the world's leading state sponsor of terrorism, and they've spent 47 years trying to hide their missiles under mountains, just like their nuclear capabilities.
Tehran has rebuilt more than half of its pre-war missile stockpile using underground missile city facilities built to survive exactly this kind of war. But the real shift isn't numbers, it's design. Iranian missiles are now flying faster and maneuvering mid-descent, according to U.S. officials cited by the Wall Street Journal. That single change makes them brutally hard to intercept. Iran has vowed that every American attack will be
Every
answered
time
strongly.
they engage, it's like Iranian, they go deep into the bag, man. And as America is running out of these munitions, man, Iran is leveling up. Okay, so now not only are they going faster, but they're maneuvering mid-flight. Okay, you see, so they in the air juking the damn air defense, man, which is already trash. Okay, but now they got missiles that's faster, maneuvering mid-flight, and more accurate, man. Okay, that's why you hear these military U.S. military personnel that's missing. No, they're being disintegrated, man. Okay, because they hitting direct targets, and the early warning, the early warning radar systems have been obliterated. Okay, so now these bases are blind. All right, they're getting less than a minute warning, and then you getting direct hits, man. So it's just getting worse. Okay, and that's why you see America having to step back, try to reassess. You're done. Okay, prophecy has it to America is done, man. It only gets worse for America, man. Okay, and on every level, it only gets worse. All right, so let's play a little more.
The problem is the type of approach of America, and that is their irrational, excessive, and domineering approach, which has been met with strong reactions from us.
Then comes the question nobody in Washington wants answered publicly. Reuters reports U.S. intelligence is now investigating whether Russia helped Iran hit 2 CIA facilities in the Gulf. A much bigger question. Where did Iran get the information? The satellite images show the damage done to critical American military facilities across the Gulf. If that is true, the war is no longer just Iran versus the US. It is a battlefield where hostile powers may be sharing methods, intelligence, and momentum. There is a reason. Tehran looks emboldened. Iranian Iranian commanders have seen American systems tested, strained, and at times beaten. There are also questions. What objectives are being met from the continuous American bombardment? The Hormuz remains shut, there is no regime change, the ceasefire deal is in tatters, and every passing day, the toll for the Americans is rising.
I think at this point, the U.S. has expended a significant amount of its munitions. It has expended a significant amount of its air defense capabilities, as has many of its regional allies and partners. And at this point, I don't think the Iranian regime places a lot of credibility in the sustainment of these strikes. And I don't see that, given all they've been through thus far, I don't see them changing their attitude here in the near term based on some changes in targeting, particularly since they've demonstrated a willingness and capability to strike back at similar targets throughout the region.
That does not mean the shield is gone. It means the shield has cracks, and Iran is driving a missile through them. The toll is savage. The war bill is growing. The destruction is measurable, seen in these satellite images shared by Iran, but the strategic message is even louder. Iran is refusing to kneel. It is learning in real time, and the next strike may be even harder to stop. Whether backed by Eastern powers or driven by indigenous engineering, Iran's message is loud and clear. American military supremacy in the region is no longer absolute, and every strike against Tehran, it is learning in real time.
It's over. So, and I said, this is just phase one that the Lord got for America, man. All right, Iran is just the opening act. You see? So yeah, it only gets worse. So we got something else. When you see these Iranian, diplomats, man, they've been swagged up lately, man. That's Rachi, a little shorter guy, Galibaf. It's OG. He's the main delegate between Iran and China. Okay, but yeah, they hop out with them black suits, man, like it's a funeral every day. You see? So let's get this precept. Then we'll segue to another video. Let's see. Let's get this one. Got quite a few. Play this one next. Jump around. All right, this is the brother Yashima tribe of Judah, Jeremiah 50:9 said, "For lo, I will raise and cause to come up against Babylon an assembly of great nations from the north country, and they shall set themselves in array against her. From thence she shall be taken. Their arrow shall be as of a mighty expert man. None shall return in vain." All right, now the fulfillment of this is going to be the nukes. Okay. Those arrows is not going to return in vain. But what we're seeing, is a prelude of the accuracy, man. And it's from, all right, this alliance of nations, because the nations from the North Country begins with Russia and the allies of Russia, man. So we're seeing that, between Russia, okay, China, and Iran, even North Korea, all right, a lot of missile technology that Iran, has comes from North Korea as well. Some of the Iranian and North Korea engineers, have worked, all right, tight, closely together over the years, to build up, each other's missile arsenal. Okay. Let's go. So let's play a little bit of this. All right. Oh yeah, brother got this one too. Let's see. This is the brother Yashima tribe of Judah, Joel 2:7. It says, they shall run like mighty men. Now, these are the nukes. They shall climb the wall like the men of war. And what is a wall? Is a defense. Showing you that, these nations have weaponry, all right, they can surpass missile defense. Okay, and we're seeing that now with the conventional war. Okay, but the fulfillment, all right, is going to be the nuclear destruction, the nuclear missiles. Okay, when it escalates beyond conventional. And it says, and they shall march everyone on his way, and they shall not break their ranks, neither shall one thrust against another. They shall walk everyone in his path, and when they fall upon the sword, they shall not be wounded. Yes, so there's going to be there's no defense for prophecy. Okay, and the Lord, I say, He got these nations souped up. Okay, with certain missile technology, it's going to fulfill prophecy, man. Okay, so let's play some of this.
Sources on all of the military assets hit in just. Welcome back to the show, everyone. Danny Haifong here with KJ No to break down the latest developments. We begin with Iran, where the United States has decided to stop strikes on Iran. 2 straight days now of no strikes, and we'll get to reasons about that later. But I wanted to pull up a major list published by Iranian military sources on all of the military assets hit in just 13 days. And I scroll down to the aircraft losses here. If you count up these from the fighter aircraft to the reconnaissance drones, operational drones, F-15s, P-8s, C-17s, it equals a whopping 43 aircraft in 13 days. Now, the damages of the total number of military assets in dollar terms has been $20.6 billion. This, of course, is still Iranian sources, but it's all we have because the U.S. does not report these things. But what they are reporting, KJ, is that Trump has shelved plans for a major escalation in the war on Iran, stating that both Chief of Staff Dan Kane as well as J.D. Vance said that the Patriot interceptors have been nearly exhausted, and escalation would basically deplete them to nothing. And another report has said that U.S. forces were reportedly allowing missiles to hit U.S. bases because they were so concerned, the CENTCOM was, with the Patriot interceptors and the air defenses. KJ, this is major news. Many people have said this is a major taco by Trump. What have you made of what's happened, in the last 24 hours, and what it says about this war and the geopolitical situation more broadly?
Well, I think once again the U.S. is reaching its capacities. The magazine is certainly one of the key issues. As we said, magazine markets, midterms, these are all core issues. But the larger issue is that the U.S. is not capable of winning this war. It is not capable of imposing its will on Iran. It is not capable of forcing the Strait of Hormuz to be open. So it signals in a very, very clear way that the U.S., in a very, very concrete sense, is extraordinarily enfeebled. And of course, we can talk about the depletion of air interceptors. We know from the estimates of RUSI, from CSIS, and then from the Iranian reports, the U.S. is really, really depleting its strategic assets. One of the key things I want to highlight is not simply the number of airplanes that have been hit, but the number of radars. So 7 command and control centers, 3 satellite communication systems, 6 Patriot air defense radars, 3 air and maritime surveillance and monitoring radars, 8 early warning radar systems, 7 air missile defense radars, 3 EPS radar systems, 2 EPS 117 radars, 5 long-range radars, 2 air defense radars, 1 tactical radar complex.
God damn. So what do they got left? A screwdriver? and you're losing everything. You see, they're being completely dismantled, man. All right, this ain't no light thing that's happening, man. America is losing its ability to wage war in their region. Okay, that nigga named everything. God damn, yeah, the scoreboard looking real bad over there, man. Okay, and it's only going to get worse. It's just the beginning. It's just first quarter. It's a blowout in the first quarter. You know, to put it in layman terms, it's in a blowout. Okay, militarily, man.
What that means is essentially that Iran is blinding the United States. And as I said once, before, you get into a fight, somebody hits you, you get your retina detached, you cannot fight. And I really think that that is making that very, very clear for the United States. I think the other thing we want to look at is the original battle plan against Iran was also the battle plan against China. It was drafted actually in 2009, and it was supposed to give the US overmatch and strategic, it would give them an immediate strategic win over Iran, most certainly, and certainly over China. And the Undersecretary of the Navy, Robert Woke, in 2010 explained it. He said, the doctrine of war, air sea battle, at its core, is about winning a guided munitions salvo competition. Is that the United States has lost this guided munitions salvo competition.
Yeah, so like I said, America gambled on a regime change, a quick regime change, a quick toppling, which I say America has done that, dozens of times, maybe hundreds of times throughout the world, on much weaker and smaller governments. Okay. But when they got to Iran, it didn't work. And they figured they was going to be in the shootout, but they figured they had enough, all right, precision, munitions, to overwhelm Iran in the shootout. Okay. But not only did Iran, weather, America's biggest punch conventionally, okay, they were able to strike back with accuracy. They was able to counter with accuracy and with a strategy, man. Now let's go from there. That's the main thing I wanted from that video. Okay, but yeah, man, it's getting bad, and it's only going to go from bad to worse. And boots on the ground, that's going to be a desperate move. Okay, because remember, when they usually put boots on the ground, America's Air Force, usually has already cleared, okay, the path, for boots on the ground. American Air Force softens it up a lot to where the boots on the ground is able to come in and begin to occupy territory without much resistance. Okay, but see, this ground invasion is going to be a slaughter for American troops because they're going to have to deal with a military that's very well intact. Okay, and they're going to have to deal with terrain they never had to deal with on this scale. America has never tried to invade a country with this military might and with this type of terrain, with this size, okay, and with the backing of two other superpowers, Russia and China. Okay, this is going to be disaster. Okay, when they carry their ass over there, man. Okay, so let's go from that. So while America, is getting pummeled, okay, in the war, this is what your government, all right, because you go into this NDDA, this national defense, okay, this National Defense Authorization Act, okay, the NDAA, between America and the small hats, and ultimately it gives small hats control over the American government, not just because they already had this type military alliance. This is pretty much America signing his title over to the small hats completely. Okay, so now the small hats are calling the shots on another level, okay, within the American government. You see, and you know these small hats are all about depopulating because they look at you American Edomites as less than, those small hat or in the state of Israel, those imposters, where they look at you Edomites, okay, in America is less than, is goyim, is cattle. That's why they threw you into this war. Okay, it is the IDF troops are not involved. Okay, it's American bases being pummeled. It's American military assets being destroyed. You see, it's American personnel that's in the line of fire. Okay, because they look at you as cannon fodder. They look at you Americans as cannon fodder, man. You see, so let's play some of this.
Anybody. They're debating the new military policy bill right now after the House passed it. One of the more controversial topics is about fusing the U.S. and Israeli military when it comes to co-production on things. Do you have any sovereignty concerns about that? If there are situations where the United States wants to send weapons, Iron Dome came up with Ukraine when the Israelis...
You asking about NDAA?
While the president says his top goal remains preventing Iran from obtaining a nuclear weapon, the administration just signed a new agreement with Saudi Arabia to build out a civilian nuclear program there. But in a new social media post Thursday, Trump said the deal requires the Saudis to normalize relations with Israel through the Abraham Accords. The Saudi crown prince has previously said that would depend on a roadmap to a Palestinian state.
We want to be part of the Abraham Accord, but we want also to be sure that we secure a clear path of two-state solution.
President Trump also said the deal involves only non-military use, adding there will be no enrichment.
All right, and moving on, a new provision in U.S. House version of the 2027 National Defense Authorization Act, released earlier this week, is now drawing attention for its potential implications for U.S.-Israeli defense ties. According to a report by Responsible Statescraft, a provision in the Act known as Section 224, it lays the groundwork for bilateral research and development, co-production of weapons, joint ventures, licensing agreements, and seemingly every manner of U.S. and Israeli military-industrial complex cooperation.
In the book acknowledges there are dark parts to this AI technology, and he wants the U.S. to be a responsible custodian of it.
Project Maven, a Marine colonel, his team, and the dawn of AI warfare.
Benjamin Netanyahu, the prime minister of Israel, has taken credit for the legislation that was put into the National Defense Authorization Act of 2027. He basically said, yeah, this is what I want. Well, he wants it because he'll have the ability to direct the U.S. military. I mean, it's mind-boggling when you think about it. And this particular proposal, by the way it's structured, and, when I first heard about it, I said, I have to read the legislation, because let me tell you, folks who are watching, you have to read the legislation in order to understand its workings. And the way this is written, it puts the Department of Defense in the driver's seat over other federal departments, including state. And then this policy it runs through the whole government. This really, you could almost say this is a takeover. And for some it'll sound hysterical, but the truth is that it is laying the groundwork for an entanglement that has never happened in the history of the United States. This is totally unprecedented.
This provision would.
So he's saying, and what the devil does, because you got the NDAA. All right, and it's hundreds of pages long, and within those hundreds of pages, all right, he sprinkles, little loopholes, and because the devil, he's a witch, he's a warlock, he's crafty with words, okay. But ultimately, this guy said, this is a takeover, because it goes beyond militarily, man. Okay, so you can prepare for military enforcement with these anti-Semitic legislations that have been put out, anti this and your anti-tech, your anti-sim, your anti-America, your anti-capitalism, Antifa, and all that. So they're getting ready to put that sword behind this legislation, man. okay? And it's going to be at the order of the small hats, okay? It's going to be at the order, all right, of the small hats, man, because America is nothing but a corporation of the elite bankers, man. These small hat bankers, okay? Donald Trump, the president, okay, is just an employee of the bankers, and then he's the one that's in a position of these bankers corporation, which is America. America is nothing but a corporation, okay? And they look at the people of America as their property. That's why they don't mind shipping you off over there. They're just shipping their property over there, okay? You're in debt to them anyway. You know, you're born into debt, so they're like, look, just ship them niggas over there to fight, you know, and be cannon fodder. Hopefully, you know, to weaken, you know, Iran, to weaken Russia. Okay. Well, let's jump up a little bit to this point here. Yeah, let's jump up to here.
Out national parks, visiting. It's the last hurrah of summer. And quietly buried inside this enormous bill is Section 219, which, well, I'll give you the floor on what is about to happen in Washington.
Well, first of all, the NDAA stands for the National Defense Authorization Act, and it's one of the few bills that passes every year. I've been here 14 years. There have been 14 NDAAs. So you can set your clock on the fact that this bill will pass. So anything that gets in it is dangerous as a cocked gun. It's going to become law. Well, this bill is hundreds of pages long, and in 5 pages long is Section 219, and it was Section 224, but it's now Section 219, and it calls for the integration of our military technology and the supply chains that produce our high-tech military equipment to be integrated with Israel's. Now, we don't have this bilateral agreement with any other country in the world, and I would argue that we shouldn't, in order to protect our sovereignty and to protect our national secrets. If you wanted to share one thing at a time, let's say we wanted to collaborate on missile defense systems, I think that's fine. The president can do that just by virtue of controlling the military. But what they're doing here is legislatively, they are appointing a person. I joke that this person will eventually be a cabinet member, but right now it's a lower level position who will be in charge of the integration. And that means that this project will have a lifespan that outlasts the commander in chief. Regardless of who the next president is, this provision lasts forever. And it's in the National Defense Authorization Act. It's coming to a vote. A lot of people have saw this. I saw this back in June and offered an amendment. By the way, there are 1,400 amendments that have been offered to the National Defense Authorization Act here in the House. My amendment was amendment number 2. I was the second person to offer an amendment to the NDAA, and that's because I saw this troubling provision in there. Now, what they've decided to do is they've decided to block my amendment. So there will be no vote and no debate on Section 219 and whether it should be in the NDAA or whether it should not be in the NDAA.
At the same time, this is...
Well, no, they're going to block it, okay? Because it's a small head. They run the government, okay? And these little puppets, you know, these senators, and even if you have a few senators or people in office, they try to, you know, block these small hats, so try to do this and that. They just get, you know, overwhelmed. All right. So let's go from there now, see why they got that happening. They done joined. They pretty much, through all of the fluff and the wordplay, they given, okay, the small hats command of the American military. Okay. Internationally and domestically. Okay. Then you had ICE agents. You had the IDF. There was already assistant ICE agents. You know, I was looking for, see, when it was happening in real time, you know, when these ICE agents was out heavy in these major cities, you know, and they had the information real time about IDF being incorporated into ICE and helping ICE, with urban warfare, because that's what the IDF specialize in, with how they do apartheid in in Palestine. Okay, now, so that lets you know, okay, that the IDF already has influence, okay, within American military and American law enforcement, not only militarily but law enforcement. Okay, so as they're doing all this, signing the American military fully over to the small hats, okay, with you Americans, you will be fighting the cause of the small hats, whether you get sent across seas, to their slaughterhouse, okay, or you be a part of the draconian, measures that's coming to enforce this new world order. See, America got to get caught up. Okay, Americans need they need the Americans afraid and desperate, to comply with this new world order, man. Okay, so Amalek has fully jumped into the driver's seat. All right, so let's play this.
Eligible men in the U.S. will soon be automatically registered for the military draft. Right now, any man. Eligible men in the U.S. will soon be automatically registered for the military draft. Right now, any man aged 18 to 26 is required to register through the Selective Service System online or at the DMV. But starting in December of this year, that all changes. Lawmakers say the move was made to streamline the process and to save money. But not every lawmaker is convinced the National Defense Authorization Act is best for the country.
Again, you heard the president there speaking about a potential third term. So I do want to say that despite the president's announcement, President Trump is ineligible to run for a third term as the Constitution currently stands.
People have no idea how lucky you are. When I'm gone, you're all going to be broke. Your business model is going to be finished. No, it's true. When I'm not around, you're going to be broke. There's not going to be anybody to report on. Nobody gives a damn about anybody else. The New York Times the other day had 5 stories about me. Before I got into politics, in my whole life, I had 7 front page stories. This is years of success. I think 6 were good, 1 was bad. I had 5 stories, 7, 5 good. Yeah, front page of the New York Times. It's not bad. Now I average about 3 or 4 a day, all different topics, all bad, everything bad. But here we are. Here we are. In fact, when I'm finished, I'm going right back to the Oval Office. So I have to be doing okay. But we are all doing good together. That's why tonight, to show just how much I care about the press, and I want to save your ratings, I'm pleased to announce my intention to, and this is somewhat of a scoop, my intention to run for a 4th term as President of the United States. I will be doing that. I will be having an official. In fact, I think I have. Yeah. I won 3 times. Now I'm going to do it again.
There you go, Trump 2028. They throwing that out there, and he's going to keep hitting during this video like there's not going to be an election in 2028. Like you won't need to vote. Is he signaling that they're going to be fully in this system, okay, or more into the system by 2028? Because, like I say, they gotta start doing things to fast track America to get them caught up. All right, so they can hit this switch and go into this new system. Okay, but American privilege has to be broken up. You see. And we believe this is the cruel Lord that's going to be at the forefront of it. You see? So they're talking about the draft. You automatically get into the draft. Okay? And that there's not going to be a next election. So what are these devils telegraphing, man? Okay? And all this is with the small hats in the driver's seat, okay, of America, man. Let's play this.
Thank you. I'm going to do it. Should be easy. I'm getting very good at running for president. Now I won 3 times, did very well the second time, by the way. Vote just this time. You won't have to do it anymore. 4 more years. You know what? It'll be fixed. It'll be fine. You won't have to vote anymore, my beautiful Christians. I love you, Christians. I'm a Christian. I love you. Get out. You got to get out and vote. In 4 years, you don't have to vote again. We'll have it fixed so good you're not going to have to vote. But I said to the Christians in the room, thousands of them, I said, typically Christians do not vote. Why it is, I don't know. You're rebellious. Something's going on. Don't worry about the future. You have to vote on November 5th. After that, you don't have to worry about voting anymore. I don't care, because we're going to fix it. The country will be fixed, and we won't even need your vote anymore, because frankly, we will have such love. If you don't want to vote anymore, that's okay.
So if you're curious, what is the Selective Service System? It's the military draft, and it was established back in 1917 by President Woodrow Wilson after the U.S. entered World War I. So that puts some things into perspective for you as to where this stands. And if we're calling this back, it must mean this is some serious stuff to our government. Under federal law, most men between 18 and 25 are required to register with the Selective Service System in case Congress and the president authorize a military draft. So right now, though, they have to self-register within 30 days of their 18th birthday, but they're allowed to register late without penalty until they turn 26. So that's been the sort of workaround here, if you think about it that way. Failure to register is considered a crime that could disqualify you from student loans, most federal jobs, and U.S. citizenship for immigrants. Stars and Stripes report.
In early March, White House Press Secretary Carolyn Leavitt did not rule out President Trump reinstating the draft itself. She was questioned by Fox News host Maria Bartiromo.
Mothers out there are worried that we're going to have a draft, that they're going to see their sons get in and daughters get involved in this. What do you want to say about the president's plans for troops on the ground? As we know, it's been largely an air campaign up until now.
It has been, and it will continue to be. And President Trump wisely does not remove options off of the table.
We're joined now by Edward Hasbrook, organizer with the Anti-Draft Coalition, which opposes the plan for automatic registrations, calling for repeal of the Military Selective Service Act. Editor and publisher of resistors.info. He is a member of the War Resisters League and the Military Law Task Force of the National Lawyers Guild. His recent piece for Responsible Statecraft is headlined, "Even if Team Trump wanted a military draft would be a fiasco," unquote. In the 1980s, Hasbrook publicly refused to register for the draft and spent 6 months in prison.
And even more importantly, it will continue to prop up the myth that the draft is available as a fallback, which in turn enables continued planning for larger, longer wars without war planners having to think about whether enough people would be willing to fight them.
But this is military focused. This goes under this ordinance that the Trump administration is trying to do, puts people in a military registry under the leadership of Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth. So this is the big issue. So for the NDA that happened in December, I voted against it. I would vote against this as well.
So, Congressman, Congress has to approve a draft. We have heard rumblings on Capitol Hill about
Small hats going, all right, approve that draft. Okay. Now let's go here. But yeah, like the brother said, Trump said you won't have to vote no more. It'll be fixed. Okay, because we know they're going to present the New World Order, as a fix all to the chaos that they're going to bring. Okay, the civil unrest, the economy crashing. They're going to present the chip as the fix-all. Okay, so Trump is, he's been telegraphing like you won't have to vote after me. You won't have to vote anymore because he's what is Trump doing? He's transitioning to technocracy. He's fully giving you Americans over to, all right, the small hats, man. Okay, militarily. Okay, dealing with, domestic government, local government. Okay, America is the land of data centers. Okay, and who's spending the most money on data centers? BlackRock. Okay, which lets you know that those are the Rothschilds that's setting up these data centers, man. Okay, so let's play a little bit of this now. Let's segue because I say this what happened with between Iran and Ukraine. Okay, which this could turn these two different conflicts into one. Russia and Ukraine, then Iran and America. Well, we know America is helping, Ukraine. Okay. And it's all who's at the background of all just the small hats. Because America, it's the small hats that put America up to provoking this war with Russia through Ukraine. There's the small hats that put America up to starting this war with Iran. Okay. And now you can see conflict between Iran and Ukraine, because Iran said this can't go unanswered. What happened between them, and Ukraine. So we'll see, so let's play a little bit of this, just quick, short, to kind of sum up, this conflict between Iran and Ukraine.
A Ukrainian drone just struck an Iranian vessel in the Caspian Sea, leaving one dead, and Tehran accusing Kyiv of outright aggression. The logic behind the strike? Ukraine claims the ship was moving Shahed drone parts along a locked corridor linking Iran's ports of Anzali and Amirabad straight to Russia's river port of Astrakhan at the Volga. That route relies entirely on geography. With only 5 border states and a 2018 treaty barring foreign warships, long-range drones were Kyiv's only way in. Interestingly, with Western intel and now Ukraine echoing similar claims about Moscow aiding Iran in the war, this strike acts as a tactical proxy move. It lets Washington squeeze the reported Russia-Iran supply chain through Ukraine. The key question? What's Russia's stake in keeping this very supply chain open? It's structural. Under a strategic pact, Iran supplies Shahed and Fateh 110 hardware, while Moscow feeds Tehran targeting data it can't generate alone. Every U.S. asset pinned across Hormuz, Bab el-Mandeb, and Jordan is one fewer system protecting Kyiv. But Ukraine's entry into reroute cargo through Kazakhstan or the congested Volga-Don Canal, turning an impenetrable supply line into an open shadow warfront. The danger? A single spark here could turn 2 regional conflicts from the Persian Gulf to the Caspian Sea into a far wider global war.
Yeah. And let's get the Iranian response. And this is how world wars are started. Events like this. And it drags in another front. It drags in another theater to the war. And you're just going to keep going at this pace. And more nations are going to get involved. All it takes is one strike on certain shipping. This nation do that, assassination here, this, and it just keep pulling more nations in. And it's the small hats in the background that's orchestrating this madness, man. And in their mind, they're going to get some global reset out of this. Okay. Where they're going to come out on top, man, but it's going to work against them. It's going to backfire, against them. Okay. Let's see what I've got. Let's see. Thought I had. Oh, here you go. So yeah, let's play a little bit of this.
Iran squarely blames Zelensky for a deadly strike on an Iranian commercial vessel in the Caspian Sea that killed a sailor. Foreign Minister Syed Abbas Araghchi alleges that Zelensky killed an Iranian sailor in the Caspian attack on the ship. Tehran denounces Ukraine's strike on the vessel as a blatant UN charter violation and a serious breach of international law. Iran's foreign minister lashes out at the freeloader in Kyiv, using the insult to personally target Zelensky over the attack. Tehran warned Zelensky that the ship attack cannot go unanswered, vowing that Iran will respond. Arachi says he has warned both European leaders and Russia about Ukraine's role in the Caspian strike and its wider implications. Syed Abbas Arachi said, and I quote, "Zelensky commercial vessel, killing a sailor. A blatant UN charter violation done at Israel's behest to drag Europe into its war." In calls with EU High Rep Kallas and FM Lavrov, made clear that what the freeloader in Kiev did cannot go unanswered. Unquote. Tehran claims Israel used Ukraine as a proxy in the attack to drag Europe deeper into its war, tying the strike to broader regional tensions. Iran warned that Ukraine's reported strike on an Iranian vessel in the Caspian Sea would not go unanswered. Iranian Deputy Parliament Speaker Ali Niqzad said any state enabling attacks against Iran could face direct retaliation. Niqzad warned that any territory used to launch attacks on Iran would be considered a legitimate military target.
Over the past years, we have endured all the violations committed by European governments, and we warn these governments, especially the new government in the United Kingdom, the parliament and government of Bulgaria, and the government of Ukraine, against making themselves a tool in the hands of the United States, and to refrain from embarking on adventures that do not concern them. The Islamic Republic of Iran will always exercise its legal right to defend the integrity of its territory, and any site used as a launch point for aggression against our country will certainly be a legitimate target for our armed forces, and the reckless conduct of the Ukrainian government will not go unanswered. The criminal United States is living in a state of despair and the quagmire into which it has sunk, and we must reaffirm this fact once again. Conditions in the Strait of Hormuz will not return to what they were before the war, and the deluded American president must forget this dream and leave the region, which has been home to us and our ancestors for thousands of years, before he suffers a defeat even harsher than the previous one. The Islamic Republic of Iran, thanks to divine victory and with the support of its strong and capable armed forces, is fully prepared to punish the American Zionist enemy with severe and painful punishment if it undertakes any adventure, and it would be better for the American people to restrain their sadistic president before American soldiers return to their country in coffins.
Well, damn. Well, so let's go here, and that's where Iran is at with, and, it's been speculation about, Iran, possibly striking, European nations, Russia getting ready to strike European nations, man, and there's all the small hats that's behind all of this, man. So them dragging the least of the flock shall drag them out, shall draw them out is what we're seeing, because it's the small hats that's behind all this conflict that we see. Okay. So let's go here. Let's get this in Jeremiah. There's always, the longer this goes on, the more nations will be involved. Jeremiah 51:46, it says, and lest your heart faint, and you fear for the rumor that shall be heard in the land. The rumor shall both come 1 year, and after that in another year shall come a rumor, and violence in the land, ruler against ruler. Okay, so this is all prophesied. We're hearing rumors. These rumors starting to actual conflicts, and then there's more rumors about escalation and more nations getting involved and who's helping who, and it just results in more violence. Okay, ruler against ruler. Therefore, behold, the days come, said, all right, Slaki. Therefore, behold, the days come that I will do judgment upon the graven images of Babylon, and her whole land shall be confounded, and all her slain shall fall in the midst of her, man. So this is the Lord getting at America mainly through this war. Okay, now Yahushua is going to come and destroy the militaries of all the heathen. Okay, but the American military and the American land itself is going to be this war. It's going to be the emphasis. There's going to be emphasis on American military in this and American the landmass. Okay, it said, then the heaven and the earth and all that therein shall sing for Babylon, For the spoiler shall come unto her from the north, said the Lord, Yahweh Bashem Al Shai, and that's beginning with Russia. Okay, and those spoilers gonna be those missiles, man. Okay, it says, as Babylon have caused the slain of Israel to fall, so at Babylon shall fall the slain of all the earth, man. Okay, so we're going to the point where the Lord's getting ready to avenge, his people through this war. Okay, and he has Babylon at the forefront because Babylon was at the Babylon's at the forefront of judgment because Babylon was at the forefront of what happened to us as a people, man. In this last captivity, you see, which the elites was behind it when you get into the slave trade, man. Okay, so yeah, we'll leave it right there. Lord will. All right, you brothers and you few sisters was edified once again. I want to give all praise and glory unto Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shah Bahashem, Rakakadash, and double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples towards younger brothers. And peace and blessings, salutation, and hope for the Shalom.